If you're watching this, don't scroll. You're about to hear a story the Galactic Council banned on every network. So before we start, hit that like button, drop a comment for the algorithm, and subscribe if you think humanity still deserves a place among the stars. Now, let me tell you how it began, when aliens thought they'd built the perfect weapon until it heard a human's voice. The observation chamber was silent except for the steady pulse of containment shields. In the center, something breathed, slow, deliberate, like the sound of pressure vents on a warship. The creature hung suspended in a gravity field, limbs folded like knives, skin rippling with bioluminescent veins. Commander Threx stood on the platform above, arms clasped behind his back, the smooth scales of his uniform catching the sterile light. "Specimen 9, he said, his voice steady but reverent. "Our creation." Dr. Vale's tendrils curled as she adjusted the hollow controls. "Its neural lattice is stable. Aggression response is ideal. This time it won't think, it will obey." Her voice bubbled through her translator mask, confident but trembling slightly. She'd seen too many of their creations end in shredded lab walls and missing technicians. Threx's eyes gleamed. "Begin the combat simulation." Panels shifted, revealing a holographic battlefield, a storm of drone soldiers projected around the containment sphere. With a flicker, the Predator awoke. It dropped from the suspension field and moved, no hesitation, no confusion. Just motion. Every swipe left a streak of dissolved light where targets had once been. It tore through the simulation with the efficiency of a machine built purely for death. But Threx wasn't watching the slaughter. He was watching its eyes, gold, reptilian, scanning beyond the holograms as though sensing something outside the simulation. "You see that?" he said quietly. Vale nodded. "It's listening. But the command frequency hasn't changed." She tapped her console again, increasing amplitude. "Obedience remains at 99%. Threx's nostrils flared. "Make it 100. The chamber lights dimmed as a deeper control tone flooded the room. The Predator paused mid-motion, claws twitching. Its head tilted slightly. Then it froze entirely, body tensing. For a moment, it was as if time stopped. Then it dropped to its knees and let out a guttural growl that made every instrument vibrate. Alarms flickered yellow. Vale frowned. "It's not resistance, it's recognition?" Before Threx could respond, the comm line buzzed. "Commander," came a nervous voice from the docking bay officer. "Inbound prisoner transport. Category 5, Terran origin." Threx turned sharply. "A human? That species was purged generations ago." "Apparently not. Recovered from a crash near the Orion frontier. He's alive." Vale's tendrils stiffened. "Do you think that's coincidence?" Threx hissed. "Nothing in this universe is coincidence." Minutes later, the observation deck trembled as the transport ship docked. The distant sound of metallic doors grinding open echoed through the halls, followed by the hoarse, furious voice of a man shouting through translation fields. "You think you can chain me, you scaled bastards? I've seen worse than you in boot camp." The Predator's head snapped up. Inside the containment sphere, the creature's pulse spiked to impossible levels. Its claws gouged the floor, scraping against the energy barriers with rising shrieks. "Shut it down," Vale yelled. "It's detecting the human voice." "Impossible," Threx snarled. "It shouldn't even know what that frequency is." But the Predator was no longer responding to alien commands. It stood upright, muscles coiling beneath obsidian flesh, eyes burning like twin suns. The containment field shuddered. The control matrix overloaded. Sparks rained from the ceiling as warning sirens blared. "Commander, it's breaking containment," Vale screamed. Threx slammed his fist onto the override pad, but the entire lab trembled as the Predator roared, a deafening primal sound that tore through every layer of shielding. The energy walls fractured like glass. The creature burst free. A blur of motion, drones split apart, consoles exploded, and alien technicians fled as the Predator moved with terrifying precision. But it didn't attack randomly. It was searching, its movements purposeful, like a hound catching a scent long forgotten. In the chaos, Threx caught a glimpse of its path. "It's heading for the detention decks." Vale's voice cracked through the smoke. "Toward the human." Threx drew his sidearm and shouted over the alarms, "Seal the lower levels. Kill the prisoner if necessary." "Commander, you can't do it." But deep beneath the lab, in the echoing corridors of the detention block, the human, Lieutenant Ryan Hale, was still shouting at his captors when the lights began to flicker. The aliens around him froze. The air shifted, heavy with static. Then something massive moved in the shadows above the cells. Hale's voice lowered to a whisper. What the hell? A single claw punctured the ceiling panel. Then another. The predator dropped silently into the corridor, its armor gleaming wetly under the red emergency lights. The guards raised their weapons, but before they could fire, the creature moved faster than sight. The walls were painted with sparks and blood. Hale pressed back against the cell door, watching in stunned silence. The creature turned toward him, breathing slow, deliberate. Its golden eyes met his. He expected death. Instead, it tilted its head, just slightly, as if recognizing him. For a heartbeat, nothing moved. Then, from the ceiling speakers, Threx's voice thundered, Specimen 9. Stand down. Obey your master. The creature didn't even turn. It reached forward and pressed a claw against the energy barrier of Hale's cell. The field fizzled and died. Hale stumbled out, staring up at it. You're not here to kill me, are you? The predator's nostrils flared. A low rumble vibrated through the floor, a sound almost like a growl but gentler. Above them, the station-wide alarm shifted to red. Containment breach. Sector 4 compromised. Hale looked around at the burning corridor, then back at the creature. You broke out because of me, why? It took a slow step closer. Its gaze lingered on his face as if searching for something familiar. Then, softly, almost imperceptibly, it made a sound halfway between a growl and a word. Who, man? The air froze. Hale's mouth went dry. From the speakers, Threx's voice was frantic now. All units, converge on the detention block. Lethal force authorized. Hale backed up, eyes darting to the approaching shadows of armed aliens. You can understand me, can't you? The predator turned its head toward the advancing troops, then back to Hale. Its muscles tensed. Hale whispered, barely audible, then let's get out of here. The creature let out a guttural sound that might have been a laugh, or a promise. And as the corridor erupted in laser fire, it moved, not to destroy but to shield him. The screams of alien soldiers echoed through the burning deck. In the control room above, Vale whispered, horrified, It's protecting him. Threx stared at the monitors, scales pale, voice shaking with rage. No, he said. It's remembering. Below, amidst the smoke and flickering lights, Hale looked up at the towering beast beside him and saw, for the first time, something disturbingly human in its eyes. Then the lights went out. And the galaxy's most dangerous weapon vanished into the dark, following the sound of the only human voice it had left. The corridors were graveyards of light, flickering, uneven, painted with shadows that moved where nothing should move. Lieutenant Ryan Hale pressed his back against a dented bulkhead, pulse hammering, listening to the distant hum of alien boots echoing through the dark. The air tasted metallic, scorched by plasma fire. Somewhere above, alarms wailed in fractured tones, their meaning clear enough. Containment breach, lethal threat, shoot on sight. He clutched the crude blade he'd scavenged from a fallen guard. Its edge was jagged, its handle slick with someone else's blood. He tried not to think about whose. The alien station groaned as if alive, metal bending under the strain of lockdown protocols. Hale took a slow breath, forcing his heartbeat down. He had trained for combat, interrogation, even torture. But this silence laced with something monstrous, felt like the universe itself holding its breath. Something shifted in the dark ahead, a ripple of motion barely audible. Hale froze. The faint scrape of claws against metal echoed once, then stopped. He should have been terrified. Instead, he whispered into the empty air, Ghost? No answer. Just the hiss of venting gas and the slow drip of coolant leaking from shattered conduits. He moved forward, careful, keeping to the shadows. The floor was littered with alien weapons, some still glowing faintly. Bodies, too, scattered like discarded puppets. He crouched beside one and pried a communication band from its arm, strapping it onto his wrist. Static hissed, then voices crackled through. Orders shouted in alien tongues, fragments of panic. Specimen, human, moving together, control lost. So it was true. The creature, the predator, was still alive. And so was he. Worse, the aliens thought they were working together. Hale leaned against the wall, rubbing at the back of his neck. His mind flashed back to the containment chamber, the way that thing had looked at him. Not with hunger, not with hate. With recognition. It made no sense, and yet it did. Somewhere deep down in the old half-buried memories of Earth's black projects, he remembered rumors. The Sentinel Initiative. Bioengineered guardians designed to fight alongside humanity's frontier forces. Projects so secret even the generals whispered about them like myths. He'd laughed them off once. Not anymore. A vent overhead rattled. He spun, weapon raised. Two golden eyes glowed down through the grate. For a heartbeat, everything in him went still. The predator dropped silently to the floor, crouched low, muscles flexing beneath scarred armor. It looked worse now, injuries across its flank, burns tracing along its shoulder plates. Yet its posture was deliberate, non-threatening. Hale swallowed hard. So you made it. It tilted its head, emitting a low rolling growl that somehow sounded almost approving. He didn't know why, but he spoke softly as if to a wary animal. You saved me back there. Why? The creature's nostrils flared. Then it raised one claw, dragging a line through the soot-streaked wall, 4 straight marks, then one crossing them out. A tally. A habit. Soldiers did that. You're counting kills? Hale murmured. Just like we used to. The predator shifted closer. It was enormous, easily twice his height, and yet it moved with a strange, deliberate care, keeping a distance of exactly 2 arms' lengths. A choice, not instinct. Somewhere far down the corridor, a siren flared to life again. The alien voices on the comm grew frantic. Neurotoxin release in Deck C. Containment sweep commencing. Hale looked up sharply. They're flushing the deck. The predator's crest twitched as though it understood. He glanced around. No vents open, no doors powered. The only way out was through a security bulkhead at the corridor's end, half buried under collapsed metal. Hale ran to it, tried to pry it open, but the mechanism was dead. Damn it, he hissed. Behind him, the predator crouched and placed its claws against the door's center. Energy pulsed faintly between its palms. The metal began to glow, then melt, dripping like wax. Hale stumbled back, covering his face from the heat. That's new. The creature stepped aside, letting him through first. The gesture was unmistakable. Deference. Trust. He hesitated. You're not following orders anymore, are you? Its eyes narrowed, unreadable. Then it made a low clicking noise, a sound that vibrated through Hale's chest like an echo. He didn't need a translator to understand. No master but the voice. They slipped through the molten gap just as green mist began to pour from the vents behind them. Neurotoxin. Hale coughed, sprinting down the new corridor, the creature's heavy footsteps close behind. They turned corner after corner until the alarms dimmed to a distant hum. He collapsed against a wall, panting, throat raw. Guess we're partners now, huh? The predator watched him, silent. Then it reached down, scooped up a discarded alien rifle, and handed it to him grip first. Hale took it. It was heavy, alien but functional. He managed to grin. Good call. For a moment, neither moved. The air was still, heavy with ozone and blood. Then Hale spoke again, quieter. Back home we built things like you. We called them Sentinels. Meant to protect us, not kill us. Guess the aliens found one, tore it apart, and made it theirs. The creature's breathing deepened. Something flickered across its eyes. Recognition again, stronger this time. It reached out and tapped its chest twice. Hale frowned. You remember, don't you? You were one of them. It let out a low, guttural sound, part growl, part lament. Hale understood. Whatever it had once been, it wasn't anymore. The aliens had taken something loyal and turned it into a weapon. He stared at the floor, jaw tightening. Then we take it back. The predator tilted its head as if weighing the words. Then it extended one massive hand toward him, palm up. Hale hesitated, then placed his hand against its claws. The size difference was absurd. His hand disappeared completely, but the contact sent a jolt through him. Warm. Alive. All right, Ghost, he murmured. Let's make them regret building you. A distant explosion shuddered through the deck. The comm crackled again. Command to all units, terminate both targets immediately. Hale raised the alien rifle. They're coming. The predator turned toward the noise, posture lowering into a hunter's crouch. Its tail flicked once, a silent signal. Hale felt a strange calm wash over him, like he'd slipped back into formation with a squad mate who knew his every move. They moved together down the corridor, shadows crossing red emergency light. The first patrol appeared at the far end, 4 aliens, rifles raised. Hale ducked behind a bulkhead, firing in short bursts. Plasma bolts seared through the air. The predator leaped overhead, a blur of motion, landing among them like a living storm. When it was over, the corridor fell silent again, filled only with the hiss of cooling metal. Hale stepped over the wreckage. Efficient, he muttered. The creature gave a soft rumble, almost like amusement. They pressed on, deeper into the labyrinth of the station. Hale's comm suddenly crackled with a familiar voice, veils, distorted, urgent. Human, listen to me. That thing beside you isn't your ally. It was designed to bond, to mimic loyalty, until it learns everything about you. Then it kills. Hale slowed. Funny, he said, eyes still on Ghost. Looks to me like you made it too human. He crushed the calm under his boot. For a moment they stood in silence. Then Ghost lowered its head slightly, a gesture that looked, impossibly, like gratitude. The lights ahead flickered, revealing a massive blast door, sealed and humming with power. The sound of marching troops echoed closer from behind. Hale wiped sweat from his brow. End of the line, big guy. You've got any tricks left? The Predator's eyes flared brighter, casting gold light across the walls. It crouched low, claws spreading against the floor. Hale realized what was coming and braced himself. Energy surged, wind screaming through the corridor as the creature lunged forward, tearing through the blast door in a single blinding strike. Smoke and silence followed. On the other side lay the cold glow of the reactor decks, the heart of the alien stronghold. Hale stepped through the jagged opening, rifle ready. He looked back once at the beast that had chosen him. Guess we're really in this now. Behind him, the Predator's voice was a rumble of agreement, deep and certain. Then they disappeared into the flickering dark, leaving the screams of their hunters behind. The reactor decks pulsed with dim orange light, the station's dying heartbeat echoing through every pipe and conduit. Lieutenant Ryan Hale kept low behind a half-collapsed coolant tower, the heat pressing against his skin like a fever. Ghost crouched beside him, silent and impossibly still, its breathing slow enough to sound mechanical. Above them, the heavy drone of patrol craft passed through the station's outer vents, searching for the escaped pair. Hale wiped sweat from his forehead and whispered, "They're tightening the perimeter. We need an exit before this place turns into a furnace." Ghost's eyes shifted toward the far bulkhead, where a series of maintenance lifts led upward. Hale followed its gaze and nodded. "Good call. But we'll have to cross open ground." He glanced down at the alien rifle in his hands, half its charge spent. "Cover me." The creature's jaw flexed slightly, a sound like a low purr rumbling from deep in its chest. It wasn't a yes, but Hale had learned to take it as one. He sprinted from cover, ducking beneath sparking cables, his boots ringing against the metal floor. Shots erupted behind him, alien plasma bolts, blue and shrieking through the air. Hale dove behind a broken console, firing in short, disciplined bursts. Ghost moved through the chaos with predatory grace, slashing through two soldiers before they even had time to scream. When the noise faded, Hale rose slowly, scanning the wreckage. "You're getting faster," he muttered. Ghost glanced at him, then tapped the side of its head twice, a gesture Hale had started to recognize as thought or awareness. The meaning was clear enough: adapting. They reached the base of the lift, but its power cells were dead. Hale pried open the panel, studying the tangled alien circuits. His engineering training was basic, but electricity was electricity, no matter the species. "I can jumpstart it," he said, pulling a cable from a fallen guard's weapon pack. "Just need 30 seconds. Ghost turned its head sharply, nostrils flaring. It emitted a low growl. Hale froze. "They're close again?" The creature's response was a deeper growl, affirmation. The floor trembled faintly, distant footsteps in rhythmic pattern. Elite troops. They'd come prepared this time. Hale worked faster, sweat slicking his palms. Come on, come on." A spark. The lift hummed faintly to life. Ghost moved between him and the approaching corridor, claws flexed. The air filled with the staccato rhythm of alien commands. Then the first volley hit. Ghost surged forward, intercepting every shot with impossible speed, its claws deflecting plasma bursts that would have melted steel. Hale slammed the activation lever. The lift doors yawned open. "Inside," he shouted. Ghost retreated backward, covering him until the last second, then stepped in beside him. The doors sealed and the lift descended with a shriek of protesting metal. For a brief moment, only the sound of their breathing filled the silence. Hale leaned against the wall, chest heaving. "You know," he said between breaths, "you're really bad at subtle." The creature emitted a soft huff, almost amusement. Then its gaze shifted downward to its arm, where alien plasma had seared through the outer plating. Dark fluid leaked from the wound, steaming as it hit the floor. Hale reached for his field kit instinctively before realizing he didn't know what would help. "Hold still." Ghost did, though its chest rose and fell unevenly. Hale tore strips from his uniform, pressing them against the wound. "You're not just a machine, are you?" he murmured. "You bleed. You feel pain." The creature's head tilted, eyes narrowing. It made a clicking sound, one Hale had heard only once before back in the cell block when it had recognized him. "Yeah," Hale said quietly. "You remember?" The lift shuddered to a stop. The doors opened to a wide observation deck, rows of shattered glass and a panoramic view of space beyond. The distant stars burned cold and indifferent, while the wreckage of smaller ships drifted through the void. The quiet almost felt peaceful. Almost. Ghost stepped forward, scanning the horizon. Hale followed its gaze and spotted the faint silhouette of escape pods hanging in the distance, dormant, locked behind another security barrier. Salvation and suicide depending on timing. "That's our way out," Hale said. Before he could move, a voice echoed through the overhead speakers, deep and resonant. "Lieutenant Ryan Hale," Commander Threx drawled, his tone dripping with controlled fury. "You've been difficult to contain. But I'm not without mercy. Surrender the creature and I might let you live." Hale's grip tightened on his weapon. "You'll forgive me if I don't trust that." Threx's laugh was dry and reptilian. "Do you even know what you're standing beside? That thing isn't loyal, it's programmed. It will obey the strongest command frequency. And right now, I hold that frequency." The deck lights flickered. Ghost staggered slightly, claws digging into the floor. A piercing hum filled the air, a control signal, invisible but suffocating. The creature roared, muscles seizing as it dropped to one knee. Hale lunged forward. Hey, look at me." "Ignore him." The voice over the intercom rose. "See how easily it breaks, human? You can't command what you don't own." Hale's mind raced. If the creature truly responded to voice frequencies, maybe human tones still mattered. It had recognized him before, it had responded to sound. He stepped closer, ignoring the heat radiating from Ghost's armor. "You're not his," Hale said, voice steady but forceful. "You're not theirs. You're mine. You hear me? You were built to protect us." Ghost's breathing slowed, its eyes flickering. The hum wavered. Hale raised his voice. "They tried to make you forget, but you remember. You remember us." The lights flashed violently, then the hum cut out. Ghost's head snapped up, eyes blazing gold. Its claws slammed into the floor, sending a shockwave that shattered the observation windows. Threx's voice dissolved into static. Hale shielded his face from the wind as the vacuum barrier deployed. "That's it," he shouted over the noise. "You fought it off." Ghost rose to its full height, trembling with contained fury. Then, for the first time, it looked at him, not as a target or command source but as something closer to an equal. The intercom crackled weakly. Threx's tone was low now, shaken. "You think you've tamed it, human? You've just unleashed it." Hale raised his rifle toward the sound. "Good." He turned back to Ghost, gesturing toward the emergency bridge that led to the escape pods. "We move now before he recovers control." They sprinted across the deck, dodging bursts of gunfire from the surviving guards. Hale dropped two with precise shots while Ghost leaped through the air, landing among the rest in a flash of claws and fury. Within seconds the path was clear. As they reached the bridge's midpoint, the floor beneath them rumbled violently. A deep, grinding roar rolled through the station. Hale glanced toward the viewport and froze. Flames were blooming across the reactor chambers far below. Threx's voice returned, cold and certain. "You won't leave this station alive. I'll take you both to the grave." Hale's stomach sank. "He's overloading the core." Ghost turned toward him, eyes narrowing. Hale understood instantly. There was no time for words. "Then we run," he said. They bolted down the bridge as explosions tore through the decks below. Metal shrieked. Alarms wailed. At the far end, the pod bay loomed, one functioning pod half buried in debris. Hale dove inside first, slamming the hatch control. "Come on." Ghost turned back toward the flames, hesitating for a fraction of a second, as if sensing something unseen, then stepped inside. The pod doors sealed. Through the viewport, Hale watched the alien station shudder and twist, glowing from within like a dying star. He hit the launch switch. The pod blasted free, spinning into open space as the reactor exploded behind them. For a long moment there was silence. Just the two of them, adrift amid the stars. Hale turned to Ghost. "We made it." The creature stared back, eyes faintly dimmed, as though uncertain what survival even meant. Outside, the wreckage of the alien stronghold burned like a second sunrise. Hale watched it fade, unaware that deep within the debris, signals were already pulsing outward, summoning reinforcements, promising vengeance. And somewhere in the endless dark, Commander Threx was not dead yet. Silence stretched through the escape pod, broken only by the faint crackle of static and the hum of the emergency systems. The debris field outside drifted slowly, glowing with the pale embers of what had once been the alien station. Lieutenant Ryan Hale sat against the bulkhead, one arm wrapped around his ribs, the other gripping the alien rifle resting across his knees. The adrenaline had long burned away, leaving only the weight of exhaustion and the quiet ache of survival. Ghost sat opposite him, its massive frame hunched to fit within the cramped pod. Faint blue light traced through its wounds, energy leaking through fissures in its armor. The glow flickered weakly, fading with every breath it took. Hale stared at it for a long moment. "You saved us again," he said quietly. "You keep doing that." The creature didn't respond. Its golden eyes were dim now, unfocused. Hale leaned forward, pressing his palm against the warm metal of its arm. "Hey, don't you fade on me. Not after all that." For a few seconds nothing. Then a low, guttural sound rumbled from its chest, weak, almost a whisper. Hale didn't know the meaning, but he understood the intent. It wasn't surrender. It was apology. He shook his head. "Don't. You did everything right." The comm panel on the wall flickered to life, startling him. A distorted voice cut through the static, female, alien but recognizable. "Human. You're still alive. Dr. Vale." Her tone was strained but not mocking. "The station is gone. Threx survived. He's broadcasting your coordinates to the Council fleet. They're coming." Hale's jaw tightened. "Let them. We'll be gone before they get here." "You won't be," Vale replied flatly. "The pod's propulsion is crippled. You have minutes, not hours. When they find you, they'll take the creature apart molecule by molecule, and you with it." Ghost stirred slightly as though it could hear her voice. Hale's mind raced. "There's got to be another way out. You wouldn't have contacted me just to gloat." "I'm not gloating," Vale said. "I'm warning you. The creature isn't just a weapon, Hale. It's a carrier. Its neural architecture was designed to link, to mirror human brainwaves. You're inside its network now." Hale's stomach dropped. "Meaning what?" "Meaning if it dies, you may die with it. The bond is complete." The comm went silent. Hale stared at Ghost, heart pounding. "You hear that? You're stuck with me." The creature lifted its head slowly. Its breathing was shallow, but there was a flicker of awareness behind those golden eyes again. Hale exhaled, forcing calm into his voice. "Then we fix you." He scavenged through the pod's storage compartment, pulling out a power cell and a repair kit designed for the pod's life support systems. "Don't know if this'll work on alien biotech," he muttered, "but it's better than doing nothing." Ghost watched as he worked, rerouting the pod's limited energy into the creature's damaged armor. Sparks flared. The smell of ozone filled the cabin. The blue glow in its veins pulsed brighter, then steadied. Hale sank back, exhausted but relieved. "There. That should buy you some time." The creature flexed its claws experimentally, then fixed its gaze on him. The hum of the pod deepened as the systems drained further power. Outside, something flashed, distant lights cutting through the debris field. "Ships." Hale's breath caught. "They're here already." He moved to the viewport. 3 alien cruisers glided through the wreckage, sleek in silver, scanning for survivors. Their searchlights sliced through the void. "We can't outrun them," he whispered. Ghost rose slowly, steady now, the injuries knitting themselves together under the energy surge. It looked down at him, then at the control console. Hale frowned. "What? You want me to open the hatch? That's suicide." The creature tapped its chest once, then pointed toward the cruisers. Hale understood. It meant to fight. "Out there? You can't take 3 ships on your own." Ghost's response was a low rumble, defiance. Then it did something Hale didn't expect. It reached toward him, pressing 2 clawed fingers gently against his temple. His vision blurred, the pod dissolving into a storm of light. Memories not his own flooded his mind. Scientists in white suits speaking softly to a young creature, teaching it patterns, gestures, the sound of human laughter. "Protect humanity. No matter what." The words weren't said in speech but felt, engraved into Ghost's very being. Hale gasped as the vision faded. He stumbled back, trembling. "You were ours," he whispered. "You were made to guard us." Ghost nodded once. The cruisers drew closer, their searchlights locking onto the pod. Energy pulses began to charge. Hale could see the glimmer of weapon bays opening. "We can't stay," he said. Ghost placed its massive clawed hand on the inner airlock control. Hale's instinct screamed to stop it. "If you open that, you'll burn up in the void." The creature turned its head toward him and let out a low, rhythmic series of clicks. Hale recognized it now, the same tone it used before each battle. "Not farewell. A promise?" He hesitated only a moment before stepping forward. Then I'm coming with you. The airlock cycled. The outer hatch opened, flooding the cabin with the raw light of distant stars. The vacuum pulled, but Ghost anchored them both with one massive hand. Then it leaped outward, dragging Hale with it. They tumbled into the void, the pod spinning away behind them. The cruisers loomed ahead, firing streaks of plasma that streaked past like comets. Hale clung to Ghost's armor, shouting over the roar in his comms. Tell me you have a plan. The creature extended its limbs, plates unfolding like wings of metal and light. Energy radiated from its core, bright enough to blind. Hale realized with awe and terror that it was charging something vast. The first cruiser opened fire again. Ghost twisted, the blasts grazing its side. Hale screamed as the force rattled his bones. Then Ghost roared, a sound that vibrated through the emptiness. The glow in its chest surged until it was almost white. Hale's ears filled with the faint echo of his own heartbeat, amplified through their link. It wasn't just resonance, it was synchronization. The creature was feeding off his neural pattern, his voice, his emotion. It was responding to him. All right, he whispered. You need a voice? You've got one. He steadied himself, shouting across the comm line, Now, Ghost, strike. The creature unleashed the stored energy. A shockwave of golden plasma erupted outward, slicing through the first cruiser in a single burst. The explosion rippled across the fleet, disabling the second ship's engines and sending debris scattering into the void. Hale's vision blurred from the light. When it cleared, Ghost was motionless, energy drained. The last cruiser turned tail, retreating into hyperspace. For the first time since the escape, the stars were still again. Hale clung to Ghost's shoulder, panting. You did it, he whispered. We're still alive. No response. The creature drifted weightlessly, its glow fading once more. Hale pressed a hand against its chest, feeling the faint vibration beneath. Stay with me, he murmured. You don't get to quit now. He glanced around the debris field, spotting the faint outline of an automated relay satellite nearby. If he could reach it, he could send a distress call, assuming anyone human still listened. Using the last of the pod's tether, he anchored them toward it, pushing off into the darkness. Ghost's body followed, limp but still faintly warm. As they drifted through the glowing wreckage, Hale felt the strange pulse between their minds again, fainter now but alive. He closed his eyes, whispering into the void, You're not done yet. Neither of us are. Behind them, the remnants of the alien fleet smoldered silently. Ahead, a single beacon light from the relay flickered like a heartbeat in the distance. Hale angled toward it, carrying the creature that had once been a weapon, now something far more dangerous, a friend. The stars stretched endlessly before them, cold and waiting. The silence of space pressed in, but Hale no longer felt alone. The silence of deep space stretched around them, endless and indifferent. The relay satellite hung ahead like a lonely heartbeat in the void, its weak beacon pulsing faintly against the darkness. Lieutenant Ryan Hale's breath came in ragged bursts as he hauled himself and Ghost along the tether, each pull slower than the last. The creature's massive form floated beside him, motionless, dim, its once brilliant golden eyes now dull amber. Almost there, Hale muttered, voice hoarse inside the helmet. His oxygen gauge blinked red. Just a little farther, buddy? Ghost didn't respond. The neural hum that once thrummed faintly in Hale's mind had gone silent. He swallowed hard and pushed the thought away. The satellite was close now, close enough to see the cracks in its hull, the burn marks from battles long forgotten. It was old, but its systems might still respond. He reached the access panel and pried it open with trembling fingers. Static danced across his visor as he connected the emergency uplink. Come on, he whispered. Wake up. The console flickered to life, sluggish but functional. Ancient Terran symbols scrolled across the screen, outdated but readable. Hale's heart skipped. Human code. A pre-expansion relay. You've got to be kidding me, he breathed. You're a museum piece. He transmitted an emergency signal anyway, embedding his coordinates and the single word survivor. The system blinked a confirmation. Now came the waiting, the endless, choking kind that eats at your sanity in the void. He turned back to Ghost. The creature floated serenely, armor cracked but form intact. Hale drifted closer and rested a hand on its chest plate. You were made to protect humans, he murmured. Guess that means you did your job. A faint pulse answered him. He froze. The hum returned, weak but distinct, echoing in his mind like a heartbeat underwater. Then a whisper of thought, not words but emotion. Regret. Defiance. Loyalty. Hale smiled faintly, though tears stung his eyes. There you are. Don't scare me like that. The hum grew stronger. Blue light traced through Ghost's veins again, faint lines of power returning. Its eyes flickered open, focusing on him. The connection between them sharpened, so clear that Hale could feel the creature's awareness brushing against his own thoughts. Easy, Hale said softly. You're safe. For now. Ghost turned its gaze toward the relay beacon, then back to him. Images formed in Hale's mind, an armada, thousands of ships moving through hyperspace. The Galactic Council. They were coming. His stomach dropped. They tracked the signal. Ghost's rumble was low, grim. The creature pushed off the debris with one claw, drifting toward the beacon. Hale followed, realization dawning. You want to use it? As a weapon. A flicker of affirmation. Ghost extended its claws into the beacon's core, merging its biometal flesh with the machine circuitry. Sparks flared, followed by a deep vibration that echoed through the void. Hale's calm filled with the sound of energy building, a storm ready to unleash. He floated closer, grabbing Ghost's shoulder. You'll overload. You can't take that kind of power again. The creature's thoughts flooded him, calm, resolute. You live. No. Hale shouted, gripping harder. You don't get to make that call. We both walk away. You hear me? For the first time, the alien's golden eyes softened, not with the detachment of a weapon, but with something human. Understanding. Acceptance. Hale's throat tightened. He knew that look. He'd seen it on soldiers before they stepped into unwinnable fights. Don't you dare, he whispered. The stars ahead began to ripple, space bending as the first of the council ships emerged from hyperspace. Massive vessels gleaming like silver blades. Their scanners locked instantly onto the beacon, and then onto the two figures before it. Hale could almost feel the heat of their weapon arrays charging. Ryan Hale of Earth, came a voice through the comm, cold and mechanical. You are harboring a classified bioweapon. Release it immediately or be destroyed. Hale laughed bitterly. You think I haven't heard that one before? Ghost turned its head slightly, meeting his eyes. The hum intensified. Hale felt his heartbeat sync with the creature's rhythm again. For a split second, everything went quiet. The ships, the static, the fear. Just the two of them, bound by something beyond command or design. All right, Hale whispered. If we go out loud. He placed his hand against Ghost's chest plate, and the link solidified into something tangible. Thoughts, memories, sensations bled together until he couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. The creature's energy field roared to life, feeding off his pulse, amplifying it. The beacon's structure glowed gold, light streaming across the hull like veins of lightning. The council ships fired. Beams of energy sliced through the void, converging on the beacon. But Ghost was faster. The power it had drawn from Hale's mind ignited into a radiant flare, expanding outward in a spiral of golden plasma. The shockwave hit like a supernova. Hale's body shuddered, his mind flooded with the sensation of 1,000 voices screaming through static. The ships vanished one by one, swallowed by the expanding light. The relay fractured, its structure collapsing into molten fragments. When the light faded, silence returned. The fleet was gone, dispersed or destroyed. Only drifting debris remained, glowing faintly against the stars. Hale floated amid the wreckage, every muscle trembling. Ghost hovered nearby, motionless once more, but this time the hum persisted, faint but alive. He drifted closer, pressing a hand against the alien's chest. I told you, he said quietly. We both walk away. Ghost's eyes flickered open, dim but steady. A low sound reverberated, half growl, half chuckle. The link carried a wave of exhausted satisfaction, almost amusement. Hale laughed weakly in return. Yeah, he murmured. Guess the universe just learned what happens when you mess with a human and his friend. Far in the distance, the damaged relay still sent out bursts of light, distorted but rhythmic like a pulse. Hale knew someone would see it. Maybe not today, maybe not for years, but someone human would. He looked back at Ghost, who floated beside him now, calm and silent. The bond between them pulsed faintly, warm against the emptiness. Let's find a planet with air, food, and a bed, Hale said with a grin. You've earned it. Ghost tilted its head, and through the link came an emotion Hale didn't expect: contentment. Not the calm of a machine fulfilling its function, but the quiet peace of something that had found purpose beyond what it was made for. The two of them drifted into the dark, their path illuminated by the dying beacon behind them. The stars spread wide and endless ahead, filled with danger and wonder alike. For the first time in his life, Ryan Hale didn't feel like humanity's last survivor. He felt like its proof. And somewhere deep in the creature's mind, where the memory of a human voice had once awakened something wild and loyal, a new instinct took root. Not as a weapon, not as a guardian, but as a friend.